A lot of people swim with locks without thinking twice. But if you want to avoid long-term damage, dryness, and buildup, then there's a few things you should know. Hey guys, welcome back to the Dreadlock Culture channel. My name is Nadia, and in today's video, we're talking about swimming with locks, but more importantly, how to protect your hair before and after you get in the water. Our hair is a sponge, but even more so with locks, because just by the nature of locks alone, anything that gets in them is really difficult to take out or remove. So when we think about getting into the pool or into the ocean, what is our hair actually absorbing? Let's start with chlorine. Chlorine is a chemical disinfectant that kills bacteria, viruses, and algae, and basically everything else. It is like hair enemy number one, and it can have detrimental effects on your locks. For instance, it can strip your hair of its natural oils. It can cause breakage, frizziness, brittleness. It can cause scalp irritation, dullness, etc. As for seawater or salt water, it's not as bad as chlorine because it doesn't have the chemical component, but it does cause also frizziness, breakage. It will lift the hair cuticle, and so it can damage the inner parts of your hair as well. And it also actually helps to tangle hair, so it's great if you have starter locks, but overdoing it can actually cause more harm than good because it's actually not very good for your hair long term. So if you're not washing it out completely, in both cases, you are exposing your hair to a lot of damage for the future. So if you want to take advantage of the pool or the ocean this summer, how do you protect your locks? There are several ways we can do this. So let's start off with the best option, I think, in my opinion, which is to cover them completely. And you would do this with a cap, like a swimming cap that looks like this. If you have a lot of locks like I do, or they're really long or bulky, then this is actually a really good option. It's obviously massive, but it does cover them to a very good extent. I've heard of some people that actually use a cap underneath, like a shower cap under this, and then they put this on top, and that kind of gives it like an extra added layer of protection. I've never done that, so you can try if you want. The swimming cap itself will not get 100% of the water out, usually around like here, the ears, a little bit around the neck. Some water will get in there, but it is better than not protecting them at all. They also make something called a swim turban. I've never tried one of those, but it is also good for locks. So you can look into a swimming cap, I guess like an extra large swimming cap, or a swimming turban, and see what works best for you. Something to keep in mind though is that something I've actually experienced myself with this one is that it does, after a while, it does kind of give you a headache because of course there's like a lot of pressure on your scalp with it. So it's not something that I would wear all the time, but maybe if you're going to be swimming laps or something, it does help quite a bit. If a swimming cap is not an option, or you just happen to not have it on the day that you're swimming, then what you want to do is first, before you get into the water, you want to saturate your hair with fresh water. And when I say saturate, I mean really dripping. So you want to go, you usually like at the pool, they'll have like a shower, and even at the ocean, sometimes they'll have like those showers where you can wash off the sand off your body. In the shower, you're going to just get your hair super drenching wet, and maybe even just like squeeze your locks to make sure that it's getting into the inner parts as much as possible. This is going to prevent any other water from getting into it, or from your hair actually absorbing more water in the pool. So instead of it just absorbing pure salt water or pure chlorinated water, it's first going to be absorbing the fresh water, and then maybe just the effects of the salt water are not going to be as intense, or the chlorinated water. So after you've saturated your locks, the next thing you want to do is you want to oil them. And for this, you're going to take a bottle with you like this. A little amber bottle is perfect. And you're going to put your choice of carrier oils and mix them in here. So I have a whole list of carrier oils and a guide on how to pick the best carrier oils for your locks. I will leave that link for you in the description so you can download it. But basically, you're going to take your blend of carrier oils and you're just going to rub them between your hands, and then you're going to put them in your locks. I wouldn't actually like squeeze them into the locks themselves. I would just put them on the surface of your locks slightly. Like, you also don't want to drench your hair in oil, but you want to kind of create a protective layer so that when you get into the water, it repels as much of the chlorinated or salt water as possible. If you're only going to be in the water like a couple of times, then you're good. But if you're going to be in the water all day long, then you may need to reapply because that's going to wash off with the water. Then finally, you're going to put your hair into a protective style. And this is especially important if you have starter locks because the chlorinated water is going to detangle your hair. And so to prevent this, you can either put your hair like in a braid, you can put it in a bun, you can put it in twists, whatever works for you that will feel comfortable while you're in the water swimming. Then put it into a style so then once you unravel it, it will keep your locks as intact as possible. And then you're going to go swimming. And remember, if you're going in and out of the water a lot, then reapply oil to your locks as necessary just to maintain that oil and water barrier. And when you're done swimming, how do you remove the chlorine and the salt water from your hair? The following steps are very, very important, so make sure that you don't miss anything. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to rinse your hair off as much as possible. So again, with that shower or wherever you are, if they have a shower, make sure that you spend some time kind of rinsing your hair as much as possible. Get in between, get into your scalp. Make sure that you just wash off as much of the pool or salt water as possible. If you don't have one of those showers available, then be sure that you take with you some bottled water and plan your trip accordingly. So maybe they won't have a shower at the ocean, so make sure that just in case you're taking extra bottled water or something, but you want to be rinsing with fresh water. Next, you want to wash your hair with a clarifying shampoo. This is going to remove any extra chemicals or salt or whatever. If you don't have a clarifying shampoo, then you can use a regular non-residue shampoo for locks and then follow up with an apple cider vinegar rinse, and the apple cider vinegar is going to clarify your hair as well. With the apple cider vinegar rinse, you want to do like a 1 to 2 part ratio or a 1 to 3 part ratio depending on how sensitive your skin is. And so 1 part apple cider vinegar to 2 or 3 parts water. Then you're going to moisturize your hair. And for this, you want to kind of pay attention to what your hair needs on average. If you do spend a lot of time in the pool, then you may need something that's a little bit heavier on the moisturizing aspect. And if it's just like once in a while that you're in the pool or in the water or wherever, then maybe you don't need as much. So kind of you don't want to overdo it, and you don't want to add more products to your hair than you need to, but listen to what your hair actually needs. So I have an entire video on moisturizing your hair, and you can decide what method is going to work best. But if you just need a little bit of extra moisture, then you can just do like a basic moisturizer spray, water, essential oils, maybe an humectant. And then if you need to go a little bit heavier, then look into doing like a hair mask or something like that with aloe vera gel or rose water, and a little bit more of an intense treatment to take care of your dry hair. And then the last and most important step is to dry your locks thoroughly. Do not go to bed with wet locks because you do have a higher chance of growing mold in your locks if you do. I have a video on how to dry your locks quickly, but basically what you want to do is after you've washed them, you want to dry them with a microfiber towel. Let the towel absorb as much of the water as possible, and then maybe just air dry if it's earlier in the day. Or if it's kind of evening time and it's not possible to air dry within the amount of time that you have before you go to sleep, then you want to blow dry them in the lowest heat setting possible. Do not put extra pressure or damage on your hair by using the heat setting. And if possible, you want to invest in a dryer attachment for your hair dryer that looks like this. And this is going to help speed up the drying process. And yeah, especially if you're going into the pool, into the water multiple times a week and your hair is getting wet, then you definitely want to take advantage of this because it will help dry your hair a lot quicker. So before I end the video, I just want to give you guys a few quick tips. First is that if you can, schedule your washing day on the same day as you go swimming. This way you can wash your locks after you've been in the water, and then instead of overwashing your hair multiple times a week or more than you need to, then that helps to also maintain the moisture in your hair longer. It's going to prevent dryness, breakage, and even the possibility of mold growth. The second tip is that if you've been swimming in salt water, be sure that at least by the end of the day that you separate your roots. when you're in salt water, it is going to help to tangle your hair, and that's lovely for your locks. But for your actual roots, it's going to be a disaster. And there was a time when I started my locks that I just neglected my roots completely, and they were really painful to separate when I went to my loctician. So don't be like me and make it a habit that when you're in the ocean that you separate your roots every time. The third tip is that if you're swimming an average of 2 to 3 times a week, then make sure that you're doing like a deep conditioning treatment or something to bring back the moisture and oils to your scalp. On my moisturizing video, I explain exactly how to do a deep conditioning treatment, so be sure to check that out. Also, if you are swimming more than 2 or 3 times a week, then you may want to consider that locks is just not the best hairstyle for your lifestyle. And I mean that in the kindest and most respectful way possible. Locks require quite a lot of maintenance, and if you add the element of being in the water all the time, it's going to make it a lot more difficult to maintain. And primarily the issue here would be mold growth. So if your locks stay wet for over 24 hours consistently, then mold can grow on the inner parts of your locks, and you might not notice or see that for months down the line, but it's just really not worth it. So that's something just to consider. I'm going to leave it out there and you decide what's best for you. But it is a very difficult hairstyle to maintain, especially if you're an avid swimmer. There was a season in my life when I was swimming fairly regularly, and I was using my swimming cap all the time, which helped me a lot, but at the same time, it was a lot of pressure both on my head and trying to get under the water with this. It was almost like you're trying to sink a balloon. It wasn't working for me. My neck hurt a lot and it was very uncomfortable. So what I did instead was I would do water, like aerobics kind of. I was doing exercises under the water, and I just would keep my head above the water. And so maybe if you're in the water a lot because you want to exercise or you're doing laps or it's just like a fitness reason, then I would recommend trying to keep your head above the water as much as possible. And yeah, just do like maybe alternate between swimming with your head dunked in the water and swimming with your head above water so that you're not getting your hair wet every single day. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're an avid swimmer and you have another tip or suggestion, something that I didn't mention in this video, then please leave them in the comments for us so then we can all learn and grow together. I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day. Where I live, it is a thunderstorm today. I think it's our first summer thunderstorm, so I'm pretty excited about it. Maybe you could hear the thunder rolling in the background. I don't know if my audio is going to pick any of that up. But anyway, I will be enjoying it indoors, and I'm so excited. In any case, I will see you guys very soon. And until then, keep rocking your locks. Bye.